Okay, so we just did 14, right? So now we're on 15. And 15, x is going towards infinity now, all right? But the limit does equal a finite number, so we're in the epsilon n definition of the limit. And let's go to the whiteboard. And when you get the whiteboard, we'll write down, we're doing problem number 15. Always lose track sometimes, but let me put this down, 15. Let's write it down, its limit as x goes to infinity, and then x squared minus 1 equals 0, which is a finite number. So what are we doing? We're doing epsilon n definition. So what are we doing? We're given something. What are we given? We're given that the epsilon, this is given, that the epsilon is greater than 0. Then we need to choose, now it's not delta now, it's n. I'm not sure what it is yet, but what I want to do is go through some work over here. And now what I need to suppose, I have some x that's greater to n. And by the way, I want to make sure that because I'm seeing this rational function over here, I'm looking at this thing and I want to make sure that, if I took an x here like 1 would be bad news, by the way, because 1 minus 1 is 0. So I just want to say this is greater than 1. And that's going to be safe now. And what do you mean by safe? That all the numbers 1 and above, x squared minus 1, is certainly a nice positive number, right? So this is important for me. So next thing I do is I'm going to check part. Check, C-H-E-C-K. And what are we checking? We're checking that x over x squared minus 1 minus 0. And again, my goal is to get this to lead towards the epsilon. I'm kind of looking at it, and I got to get, the n is going to be written in terms of epsilon. I'm looking at what am I going to do with that? And I'll just simply say this is equal to, and it's going to be the absolute value of x on top. And on bottom, you would get, the absolute value of x minus 1 times the absolute value of x plus 1. Right? That's not so bad. So let me keep going through that and looking at it. Boy, that looks tough, doesn't it? I got to start thinking now, and that's always a problem. We have to think. Now, by the way, before I say anything, I want to point out that I probably could safely say at this point, I want to think about it, I could probably say the absolute value of x, if x is above 1, it just is x. And the absolute value of x minus 1, if x is above 1, is just simply x minus 1. So I'm removing the absolute values of it. And what goes on bottom? X plus 1, all right? What allows me to do that? This thing over here allows me to do that. Now I want to look at that. And I want to think about it. And I'm going to write this over here, x minus 1, x plus 1. And boy, this is perplexing, isn't it? Let me just see. I want something bigger than this. And let's just say, if I got x on the top here, make it bigger, just put x plus 1 down. You may wonder why I'm doing that. I'm looking for a cancellation. And x minus 1, and x plus 1. Again, I have to remind you that x is greater than 1. And, certainly this stands to reason, by the way. And then I'm going to say this is equal to 1 over x minus 1. All right? And I'm still looking to get that, something bigger still. And I'm looking at this over here. And I'm looking at this relationship over here. X is greater than n. Because that's my goal, really, to get the n in the problem. And I'm looking for something that I can do, here. Well, let's write down x minus 1 greater than n minus 1. Now, again, these are still both positive numbers, by the way. And why is that? X is greater than 1 and n is greater than 1. So they're both positive. So I can do their reciprocals now. So I can say 1 over x minus 1 would be like this over here. 1 over n minus 1. All right, so I got it bound here. This is going to be 1 over n minus 1. Now I can just simply say this is epsilon, because I have a relationship between epsilon and n. But I got to figure this out now. So let's write this over here. This is going to be 1 over epsilon. Some simple algebra, by the way. And then I'm going to add 1 to both sides. And I got my, I'm sorry. Let me get my eraser out. It looks awful. 1 over epsilon. Whoops, I did it again. Get my eraser again. 1 over epsilon plus 1 is equal to n. So I'm ready to write that down. And my n's going to be 1 over epsilon plus 1. All right, we're done with that problem. And it wasn't so bad to do. And when we're done a problem, I'm going to write down QED. And what black pen, red pen does, puts a little square box down and shades it in. And again, I do see this in textbooks a lot, and I would pay attention to that, what other people are doing, by the way. All right, to have some kind of idea what other people do. I like to write down QED. All right, thank you.